Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
Pitch 113 about to be delivered. 2-2 to Michael Busch. Cease kicks and fires, and that is right at the top of the zone. Strike three called. 12 strikeouts on the day for Dylan Cease and 7 shutout innings.
A dominant, dazzling performance from Dylan Cease in the Windy City here today. 7 shutout innings, leading the Padres to a 3-0 win against the Cubs. The Padres win the rubber game of this series, and the Padres put together a 4-2 road trip to Arizona and Chicago. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios here on the Padres Radio Network. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Padres with the win improved to 20-20. Cubs with the defeat dropped to 22-16. The Padres win the season series from Chicago. They go 4-2 against the Cubs here in 2024, which could very well be helpful later in the season. And the Padres will come home to face the Dodgers beginning on Friday at Petco Park. A happy flight home, and much of that happiness due to what Dylan Cease did here today. Final totals in this one for the Padres: 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. The Cubs, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. The Padres, 1 hitting the Chicago Cubs. Dylan Cease, 7 scoreless innings. He was brilliant. Wandy Peralta, Robert Suarez, a scoreless inning each. Suarez again getting the job done in the 9th inning, his 12th save in as many opportunities. We have a lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up a little bit later. We'll have all the radio highlights for you, break down this game in its entirety. We'll also get to some of your tweets, DMs, video comments, and much, much more to come. But some quick thoughts for you on what was a great afternoon for the Padres in the Windy City on the north side of Chicago this afternoon. The story today, no doubt, begins with the work of Dylan Cease, who continues to be everything the Padres thought they were getting when they traded for him right before the season began, right before the trip to Korea. Here today, 7 innings, no runs given up, 1 hit, 2 walks. He struck out 12, a season high, on a grand total of 113 pitches. He was simply dominant in this game. And by the way, the only hit he gave up, an infield single to Yan Gomes. That was it. So he did not even give up a base hit that left the infield. He was that good. He kept the Cubs off balance all afternoon long. And the thing that you just marvel at with Dylan Cease is the way he gets it done. Here today, 89% of his pitches, he just went with 2. 4-seam fastball, 50%, slider, 39%, mixed in the sweeper, mixed in a couple of knuckle curveballs, a changeup, a cutter, but 50% 4-seamer, 39% slider. The way he's able to live up in the zone at times with that slider, he dominates. When he's got it going, he is as good as anybody, as any starting pitcher in baseball. I mean, we've seen this guy have a Cy Young caliber season before, and the early part of his Padres career has been really, really impressive. I mean, you can't say enough about what he's done so far, and to do it in Chicago, his first start back in that city since the trade from the White Sox in March, and against a team in the Cubs that originally drafted him, then traded him to the White Sox. Not the first time he's faced the Cubs or been at Wrigley Field, but kind of a cool storyline there. Dylan Cease going back there today, and he was simply dominant. The bullpen helped him out. Wandy Peralta, nice and easy 1-2-3 inning, and then Robert Suarez. What more can you say about him? Now 12 for 12 in save opportunities, and once again, not just the effectiveness on the mound, but the efficiency. 11 pitches to get the 3 outs in the 9th inning. So the pitching today for the Padres, a one-hitter between Cease, Peralta, and Suarez. They were tremendous here today. It's exactly what the Padres needed from Cease today, from the bullpen today. The other part of this game that you like, the Padres offense didn't explode offensively, 3 runs on 8 hits, but they were going up against the guy in Hayden Wesneski who had been really, really good to this point in the season. Wisniewski, like we said during the pregame, like Jesse and Tony talked about, a sub-1 ERA entering this start. Really had been a little bit of a surprise with how good he's been. And Wisniewski was pretty good today. 6 innings, 3 runs given up. It was a quality start. But what the Padres did, they took advantage of the opportunities they had on a couple of occasions. The first time being in the first inning, Manny Machado, a 2-out single to make it a 1-0 game. Then the Padres had more 2-out magic in the 5th inning, a couple of 2-out RBI hits from Fernando Tatis Jr., an RBI double from Jake Cronenworth right after that. That made it 3-0, and we didn't know it at the time for sure, but that ended up being plenty in this game as the Padres went 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position, but the 3 hits they did have with RISP ended up being plenty. And the 2-out magic, all those RBIs coming with 2 outs, you had to like that here today. When the Padres had some opportunities against Wisniewski, they took advantage, and hey, you know, there were other opportunities they could have taken advantage of as well. But you know what? Some days when your pitching is as good as it was here today, you take 3 2-out RBIs and you run with it, you get out of town. And that's what the Padres can do today. Luis Arraez, 2 hits in this game. He was on 3 times. He got hit by a pitch in the first inning. I thought a really underrated part of this game, and the first inning was a good example. There was another example in the 4th where the Padres didn't score, but I do want to point it out. In the very top of the first inning, Arraez gets hit by a pitch. There's 1 out. He's still on first base with Jake Cronenworth at the plate. Cronenworth ends up grounding a ball to the right side, but Arraez was put in motion. He was off and running on the pitch. Stays out of a potential double play. Whether the Cubs could have turned it or not, who knows, but stays out for sure of that double play, gets to second base, and that gave Manny the opportunity to come up with the 2-out RBI base hit, gave the Padres a 1-0 lead just like that. And I bring it up because it's something we talked about on Monday in that 6-run inning that propelled the Padres to a win. We loved, if you heard the post-game show on Monday, we loved the way they were aggressive, the double steal, a couple of hit and runs, trying to push the envelope. I like that. I like that part of what Mike Shildt brought to this team, at least in the last handful of days here. Little bit of aggressiveness on the bases, staying out of a double play. There was another good example of it in the 4th inning where Cronenworth was put in motion on a ground ball that ends up getting hit by Profar, and they stayed out of a double play. Cronenworth never came in to score, but it was another example of that. So I like that here today as well, and the Padres came up with enough offense to win this game. But again, the big story in this one, Dylan Cease, 7 scoreless innings. He struck out 12, and he continues to be mighty, mighty impressive in the very early part of his Padre career. I mean, you know, when the trade was made, obviously the Padres gave up good talent to go get him. It has worked out really, really well so far. There's no doubt about it. He has been exactly the guy that the Padres thought they were getting. The Padres thought was in there. Remember, Cease last season, it wasn't as good for him as the year before in 2022 when he was finishing second in Cy Young voting. But he has been an ace. He has been everything you could have hoped for so far, and he lowered his ERA in the early part of his Padre career to 2.19 with the performance here today. So great stuff from him. He continues to be ace-like. Bullpen gets it done, and the Padres get out of town, get out of Chicago with series win, winning 2 out of 3, a 4-2 road trip. You'll take that. Hey, if they hang on to yesterday's game, today's game goes the exact same way. You would have had a 5-1 trip and a sweep in Chicago. So we won't harp on that. Could have been even better, but I think anytime you face a couple of teams that I think a lot of people expect will be in the mix for a postseason spot. Diamondbacks haven't played very well, but they've kind of underperformed so far based on what they did last year and the talent. You can go to Arizona and Chicago, 2, I think, good teams at the end of the day. Go take 4 out of 6. You'll take that. You reset with an off day tomorrow back here in San Diego, and a big series beginning against the Dodgers on Friday. Obviously, anytime you play them, it's a tough series. So a big series at home coming up. We'll get more into that as we go throughout our post-game show. When we come back, we'll have all the radio highlights for you. We'll also Hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, daily awards, out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. I'll bring you towards the top of the hour when we'll flip things over to Chris Ello and Matt Scraby. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming your way, and they will take you up until 6, and then Scraby will have you until 7 p.m. So a lot of Padres talk coming up here on 97.3 The Fan. We continue our post-game show after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Great win for the Padres here today. They beat the Cubs 3-0 at Wrigley Field. Padres take 2 out of 3 from Chicago. They go 4-2 on this 6-game road trip to Arizona and Chicago, and now an off day tomorrow. They begin a homestand tomorrow against the or I should say homestand on Friday against the LA Dodgers. More on that coming up a little bit later on. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit. I want to go back to something before we get to the radio highlights that I alluded to during the opening segment, and that is why it is so important that the Padres took 4 out of 6 from the Cubs in the season series. And look, it's a bit of a weird schedule, and we see this now with the more balanced schedule. Padres and Cubs won't play again this season. So here on May 8th, the season series between two non-divisional teams, the Cubs and the Padres, it's over. Padres aren't going to see the Cubs again. But the reason it's important, today's game was really important, is because by going 4-2 against the Cubs, taking 2 out of 3 in San Diego, then 2 out of 3 in Chicago, let's say the Padres and Cubs are tied for a wild card spot at the end of the year, Padres have the tiebreaker. And it's something you just put in your back pocket this early in the season. We're not going to talk about it much. We're not going to really focus on it beyond today. But guess what? These two teams, they very, very well could be battling for the same postseason spot or two at the end of the year could end up being a really big deal. It's something to keep in mind whenever the Padres play other good teams in the NL that aren't even in their division. And it could play a factor with a team in your division as well. But, when the Brewers come to town a little bit later on this year, look, there's a good chance that the Cubs or the Brewers win that division and the other team is battling for a wild card spot. Well, guess what? The Padres took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. So when the Brewers come to Petco Park later this year, you have an opportunity to then go win your season series against them. So again, it's just something to keep in mind. It's important now that you win season series, and the Padres now have won the season series against the Cubs. Those are some little things, some little elements that, don't seem super relevant on May 8th, but if it's September 28th, my goodness, very, very relevant, hypothetically, depending on what happens the rest of this season. So the Padres move back to 20-20. They're now 500. Cubs are now 22-16 on the year, with certainly a long, long way to go. A lot to break down from this game. A lot to tell you about on the pitching side. Let's get to it.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Hayden Wesneski made the start for the Cubs today. He hit Luis Arraez to begin the game. Arraez went to second on a ground out. There were 2 men away, and Arraez on second base for Manny Machado.
He went 6 1/3, did not allow a run. Manny lines this one into right center field. He's going to give up a run here. Arraez is rounding third on his way. Machado an RBI single, and the Padres a 1-0 lead in the first.
Dylan Cease, meanwhile, was in command early. 4 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts through 4 to begin his day. That was just the start of the story for Dylan Cease. That brought us to the 5th inning. Padres still up 1-0. A couple of singles from Luis Campusano and Luis Arraez put runners on first and second base. There were 2 outs for Fernando.
Here's the 2-1. T swings, hits a rocket to left field and a base hit. Happ getting to it quickly. Campusano rounding third. He's going to come in and score. And right after he had the feet moved, Fernando an RBI single. And the Padres now lead it 2-0.
Padres weren't done. There was more 2-out magic from Jake Cronenworth.
2 on, 2 out. Pitch to Cronenworth, hit hard over the head of the third baseman Morel and down the left field line. Arraez has scored. Tatis will be held at third and into second with an RBI double. Jake Cronenworth, his second hit of the day, and the Padre lead is now 3-0.
Padres had that 3-0 lead going bottom 5. Cease was rolling. He struck out the side for the second time in the bottom of the 5th inning. That completed a span of 5 consecutive Ks. Cease had 8 strikeouts through 5 scoreless innings. The story continued to be the stellar work of Dylan Cease. He worked around a leadoff walk in the 6th inning. Padres still led 3-0 going bottom 7. Cease struck out Cody Bellinger. He struck out Christopher Morel. That was 11 strikeouts on the afternoon. Cease polished off a tremendous outing against Michael Busch.
Pitch 113 about to be delivered. 2-2 to Michael Busch. Cease kicks and fires, and that is right at the top of the zone. Strike 3 called. 12 strikeouts on the day for Dylan Cease and 7 shutout innings.
Absolutely outstanding work today from Dylan Cease. His final line, 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, a grand total of 113 pitches. Padres then went to the bullpen. Wandy Peralta, a very quick 1-2-3 bottom half of the 8th inning. Padres still led 3-0 going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Robert Suarez coming on for the save opportunity. He got Nico Horner to fly out. He got Michael Talkman to ground out. The game was left up to Cody Bellinger.
Suarez comes set at the belt. 2-2. The pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3. Suarez strikes out Bellinger to complete the 1-hit shutout. And the Padres become the first visiting team to win a series at Wrigley this year. They cap a 4-2 road trip with a 3-0 win this afternoon. And boy, was Dylan Cease special.
Cease was special indeed. 7 scoreless innings, Peralta for 1, Suarez for 1, a 1-hit shutout for the Padres here this afternoon at Wrigley Field. Again, the final totals here today: Padres 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. The Cubs 0 runs, 1 hit, and no errors. Dylan Cease picks up the win. He's now 5-2. Hayden Wesneski the loss. He's now 2-1. And Robert Suarez, same old, 12 for 12 now in save opportunities. Suarez now has a 0.55 ERA on this early 2024 season in a span of 15 appearances. He continues to be terrific. Let's go back to the north side of Chicago at Wrigley Field and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, what kind of pleasure did you take in watching Dylan today?
Oh my gosh, man. What a tremendous outing. Another tremendous performance, outstanding fastball, serious life on it all the way to the end. The slider just continues to be filthy. Was able to command it, repeat it, fastball where he wants to. Mixed in his change in the end. He likes doing that in the 7th. But it was huge for a getaway day. Last game of a series, road trip. Not a lot in the bullpen based on the last couple of days, and he just threw a tremendous game. It was just with a doctor order.
And you just kind of answered the question, but how much did you need that?
We needed it. Listen, going back to the last game in Arizona, and Vasquez threw the ball really well. Just got him out in the 5th and managed the game from there. And had to use a lot of guys to bring it home on the first game, after a quality start by Darvish for 5. But, we needed it. And good news is he's really efficient with his pitches. And, he had his punch-outs, obviously, but didn't have a lot of stress, so we were able to take him into that 7th and feel good about it.
How big has Cronenworth been for you guys this year? And in your eyes, is there anything different that you've seen from him from last year at the plate?
He's been huge for us, to answer your initial question. Both sides of the ball, just great approach. You saw it on display again today. Just been a typical Cronenworth day. He drives in a run, got a great approach. Yesterday gets the bunt down. Just looking, he's a ball player, right? He's looking how to win the game, what the game calls for, and then he makes it, play in the 9th to, get that second out. So, what he's doing different. He's just getting back to who he is, and that's just a really smart, talented player that knows who he is and what he's looking for in competition.
How much do you guys enjoy the challenge coming up ahead of the Dodgers and kind of facing off against those guys?
Yeah, you know what? I got to tell you, we're obviously aware we got a series with the Dodgers coming up, but, personally and for this club, we really want to make sure we take care of the day that we're playing, and we're going to play and compete regardless of component. It's really about how we play. For example, today, you look at it and, we played the game clean. We didn't give anything free away. We got timely hitting, made our plays with Kimmy in the 1st, leaded to Crony in the 9th, and, it's just a good recipe for good baseball, and so we'll do that regardless of opponent.
You think back to that walk by Jackson. He was down 0-2.
Yeah, great walk.
I just wonder, where is that? He's done so many things, and you've talked about it almost ad nauseum, right? As a rookie, but that walk,
tremendous. He's down 0-2. Next thing you know, he's battling, putting himself in position now. Next thing you know, he's got to walk. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's, again, some of the things that Jackson Merrill's doing. A lot of our guys are doing. It's just a fight of, okay, I'm down 0-2 now. What do I do? And just battle his tail off, and instead of thinking about, oh man, I'm worried about this. No, I'm going to bear down, have a really good at bat, and he works the wall.
2 runs again from Luis, who is doing kind of what you would ask a leadoff hitter to do. I know it's been a short time, but what was it like to get him in the last 5 games of this streak?
Yeah, you know what? Me and Jimmy McHugh, our advanced guy, we're talking before the game, and he's like, I know this is an obvious statement, but man, our lineup's so much longer with the rise at the top of it, and it's clearly accurate. You just know he's going to give a good at bat, and he's got bat to ball skills that are quite honestly unparalleled that I've seen. There's not a place to go for this guy. Even if you're trying to get a chase on him, he can barrel up a ball that's out of the zone. So, it's tremendous to have a guy at the top of that order that can set that tone, and clearly did it. He worked it. You work a hit by pitch, but he got hit by pitch, and Manny does his job to get us on the board and create some momentum on our side early. But tremendous table setter.
Today was not a rarity in that your runs kind of came in the middle of the game in terms of seeing a guy for a third time. that's what you want to do, but like that's not what you do all the time. What a team does all the time. What is it about these guys?
Yeah, we have a saying internally. We want to be the best at getting better as the game goes, the series goes, and the season goes. Just a continual growth mindset, and we want to be good from the beginning, which we were today, and get that run with Manny's RBI. But again, I'm really that's one of the other benefits that Arise and Solano bring with this club is just how well they see the game. And how they can sit there, even Donovan, who's not playing, and talk to the guys that are in competition. Say, what are you seeing? This is what he's doing, and pick up things that help us compete. And then you just continue to take quality at bats, and the more quality at bats you stack up, the better you go, and the more you see a guy that's good for us. We also got to give our man Wandy Peralta some love. 1, 2, 3, 8, and of course Suarez brought it home. And the other thing I've been thinking about, we go on the road, obviously, and I just appreciate the support we get from Padre Nation. You start to see it grow everywhere we go. And, whether it's Milwaukee or San Francisco, which is obviously a little bit closer, but, we're in the Midwest here in Chicago, and, we come out and there's a lot of Padre fans here that are supporting this club. So it speaks well to the brand, and it speaks well to, the interest this club's gaining.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after today's game. A great 3-0 win for the Padres against the Chicago Cubs. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Nice job there by Mike Shildt at the end. Talking about Padres fans traveling. I thought you could hear it actually on the radio throughout this series. When good stuff happened for the Padres, you heard some cheers. So good job by the Padres fans in Chicago showing up and making some noise. And nice job there by Mike Shildt shouting out Wandy Peralta as well. He was good today. 1, 2, 3, 8th inning. Obviously, Mike talking a lot there about the excellent work of Dylan Cease today. And I thought also, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into Cease because there's even more to talk about when you talk about how good he's been and how good he was today. But I think worth talking about as well the performance of Luis Arise in the leadoff spot today. So I'll hold on that thought. We've had a long segment here. Let's step aside, take a break. I'll come back. I'll talk about Arise. I'll talk about Dylan Cease. We'll start cycling in some of your thoughts. Tweet at me, Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV. You can also send me a DM on Instagram, Sammy Lev there too, SAMMYLEV. We'll take your video stream comments if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. May cycle through some of those as well. Again, I'm bringing you up until Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. They'll have today's edition of Gwynn and Chris when we're done on our post-game coverage here this afternoon. Final score at Wrigley Field, Padres 3, Cubs nothing. Post-game coverage continues when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres with a very nice 3-0 win against the Chicago Cubs. Dylan Cease, the star of today's game, 7 shutout innings. He was brilliant. 12 strikeouts. He continues to be terrific in the early part of his Padre career. Padres got 1 run in the first inning. They got 2 more in the 5th inning. All the runs coming on RBI hits by Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., and then Jake Cronenworth with 2 outs in all those situations. So some good 2-out situational hitting in this game for the Padres. 3 runs was plenty with how good Cease was here today. Still a lot to do. We'll get to our relief pitcher of the game coming up here in just a second. We'll continue to cycle in some of your tweets, DMs, video comments. We'll squeeze in a phone call here in a second as well. 833-288-0973, the phone number if you want to get involved. Before we go to the phones, I just want to point out 2 more things about Dylan Cease. If you want to understand how good this guy has been so far and how good he was here today, his opponent batting average on the year went down to 128. That's the lowest mark in all of Major League Baseball. He came in with the lowest opponent batting average in all of Major League Baseball at, I believe, 140. Am I right? Yes, 140. Opponent batting average, so that lowered by 12 points today. That's how good he was. And also, how about this? He gave up 1 hit in this game, right? The infield single to Yan Gomes, a right-handed batter. You want to know how good he's been against righties? He gave up 1 hit to a righty today. His opponent batting average against righties went up today from 0.89 to 0.93. That's how good he's been against righties. He gave up 1 hit to a right-hander today of all the right-handed bats he faced, and there were a lot of lefties in the lineup today. But he's been that good that he gave up 1 hit against a righty today, and the opponent batting average actually went up against righties to 0.93. The other thing I want to just mention, I said I would do it before we went to break, Luis Arraez. Now, Arraez gets hit by the pitch in the first inning. Again, I pointed it out in the opening segment. I thought Arraez being in motion with Cronenworth at the plate and staying out of a double play potentially was a big deal because it got Manny Machado up with a runner in scoring position. Manny comes through, makes it 1-0. But even beyond that, Arraez, single in the 5th inning, 2-out single, kept that inning alive, and then the Padres end up scoring two runs in that 5th inning. You can't look past that in this game. And look, is Luis Arraez going to give you power? Once in a blue moon he will, but that's not his game. What is his game? We talked about it at the time of the trade. We talked about it after his 4-hit debut on Saturday. His game is putting the ball in play, getting on base, hitting for a high average. He excels. He's one of the best, if not the best in baseball at that specific thing, putting the bat on the baseball. And why does it make a difference? You saw it in the 5th inning. All it was in the 5th inning, a 2-out single to put runners on first and second. It's still a 1-0 game at that point. But what did it do? It extended the inning. It got Tatis up with a runner in scoring position. Tatis, RBI single. Cronenworth steps in, RBI double. And just like that, it went from a 1-0 game to a 3-0 game. That's why Luis Arraez has a lot of value at the top of your lineup. You flip it over, he continues an inning that only, it wasn't like the Padres had some big rally going in that 5th inning. It was 2 outs and a runner on first base. But that's what a guy like that does. It lengthens your lineup. When it flips over, he's in the leadoff spot. You know you got somebody there that can keep the line moving. And that's what Arraez did today in that 5th inning. Don't overlook how important that base hit was by Luis Arraez. It's a big deal, and that's part of what he's going to bring. And then he has a single in the 9th inning, and look, it's going to be a lot of that. Multi-hit games, that's how you hit in the 350s for a season like he's done before. So he was really good today, was on 3 times, scored a couple of runs, and 2 hits today for Luis Arraez. All right, let's go to the phones, 833-288-0973. We go to Fallbrook. It's Vinny calling in. Hi, Vinny. You're on the Padres Radio Network. How are you?
Hey, Sammy. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show today. I just wanted to talk about a few things. most importantly, it seems like the past few weeks, or like past few games, we've had really good pitching, but we haven't had anybody get a hit, or it just seems like we haven't gotten any runs, or just it's been lacking in that department. And it's vice versa. Some days we have really good hitting, and then all of a sudden we just have our bullpen just can't, or even our starters can't even get a couple of strikeouts here and there or throw up a zero. So it finally feels pretty good to see that we actually have them line up for once this past road trip, and it just seems pretty crazy. It's like, oh my goodness, like we finally got them lined up, and hey, I'm here for it, and I just can't wait to see what we do in the homestead. So yeah, that's what I came to talk about today.
All right, Vinny, appreciate the phone call, and I'll respond to a couple of your points. Look, you look at the Padres' record, even with the win today, sitting at 20-20. Look, part of that is that they haven't fired on all cylinders all at once yet, right? I mean, they've had some nice stretches. They've had the 5-game losing skid. They've now won 6 out of their last 8, so they're playing better since that 5-game skid. No doubt about it. They've won 3 series in a row. They are playing better baseball, and you hope it continues. Tough series against the Dodgers coming up, but part of the reason they're sitting at 20-20 through 40 games is that it hasn't all come together in one for an extended stretch yet, right? Whether it was the starting pitching struggling, or then the bullpen struggling, or the offense not doing a whole lot. It hasn't really fired on all cylinders yet. Now, all these games, even the wins, they've been different here today. It's not like the offense exploded today. 3 runs, but you know what? You win games like that a lot of the time. You get great pitching, you need some 2-out RBI hits to get enough, and you win a ball game, and you get out of town with a series win. That's okay. I do feel like the last 8 games where the Padres are 6-2, as a whole, is the best they've played. Even despite yesterday, the bullpen being unable to hold the 1-run lead. I do feel like they're getting, for the most part, some pretty good starting pitching. I mean, Vasquez yesterday was good. Darvish was really good the first game of this series. Sunday, obviously, Waldron had a tough one. But remember, before that, King was good. The day before that, to begin the road trip, Cease was good. Musgrove was really good on the Wednesday against the Reds. Darvish, 5 scoreless innings. So you go back a little over a week now. Starting pitching's been good. I think the lineup's been pretty productive for the most part. Look, last 2 games, they didn't do anything crazy. I mean, they needed the Profar home run yesterday. That's all they got. 3 runs here today. But look, I think you feel better about the lineup right now, especially with the rise, than you did this time a week ago. And the bullpen has been up and down. Suarez has been tremendous. The path to Suarez, it's been smooth at times. At times, that path has been rocky. That's something that the Padres have to figure out, how they are going to smooth out that path to Suarez. We talked about it a lot yesterday. But I do feel like, Vinny, they are, in the last 8 games, playing as, I guess, good of baseball as they've played so far through 40 games. And it shows. They're 6-2. We'll see if they can keep that moving. When you go on a winning streak, when you play really good extended stretches of baseball, you need, kind of everything to be clicking on most nights, or at least on a day where something's not clicking, you need other guys to pick them up. That's a lot of what baseball is. So we'll see if they can do that. And, you're sitting at 20-20, and you hope now to move above 500 and keep it moving up from there. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game, in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Suarez comes set at the belt, 2-2. The pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3. Suarez strikes out Bellinger to complete the 1-hit shutout. And the Padres become the first visiting team to win a series at Wrigley this year. They cap a 4-2 road trip with a 3-0 win this afternoon. And boy, was Dylan Cease special.
He was spectacular here today, but our relief pitcher of the game, like you heard, the final out, we'll give it to Robert Suarez. Why not? 1-2-3, ninth inning, picks up his 12th save. Now 12 for 12 in save opportunities this season. 15 appearances total, a 0.55 ERA. 135 opponent batting average, 0.67 whip. He's been great. The 5-out save Monday night. Much easier 1-2-3 inning in the ninth inning here tonight, or today, I should say. Robert Suarez, our relief pitcher of the game, he continues to be both really effective, really efficient, and also his willingness, like we talked about at length on Monday, to go more than one inning, to do what his team needs. It has been very, very important for this team in a number of different games already. Final score again here tonight. Today, it's daytime. Stop saying tonight, Sam. It's daytime. It's only 2:40 here on the West Coast. 3-0. The Padres beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field this afternoon in Chicago. We'll come back with more of your phone calls if you want to get them in. 833-288-0973. Player of the game, play of the game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Cycle through your tweets, DMs, comments as well coming up as the Padres win this series against the Cubs. Post-game show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres win it here today, 3-0 against the Chicago Cubs. Dylan Cease, terrific work. 7 scoreless innings. We'll talk more about Cease again when we tell you about our player of the game coming up here in just a little bit. Do want to read through a couple of your Instagram DMs here. Jose saying, Dylan Cease, amazing today, all season long, I should say. What a fun weekend we have coming up. Beat LA, go Padres. Jose, thanks for listening. MK saying, I like this message. The tiebreaker over the Cubs is awesome, but no need for it since the Padres are just going to come back and win the division. Well, you know what, MK? If the Padres are going to do something like that this season, this weekend against the Dodgers, that would be a pretty good place to start if you can go win that series against LA. And by the way, the series against the Dodgers this weekend, the Padres do still have limited tickets available for that series against the Dodgers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Should be an outstanding atmosphere at Petco Park. A lot of fun over the weekend. Go to Padres.com/tickets and to help give the Padres a true home field advantage this weekend. Should be a lot of fun at Petco Park as the Padres take on the Dodgers. The series up in L.A. Was a good one for the Padres earlier this season. So again, join me. Come say hi to me inside the Western Metal Building sometime this weekend for the pre- and post-game coverage. Again, you can get your tickets at Padres.com/tickets if you want to get to Petco Park this weekend as the Padres welcome in the Dodgers. Why don't we tell you about our player of the game?
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Bites. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Pitch 113 about to be delivered. 2-2 to Michael Busch. Cease kicks and fires, and that is right at the top of the zone. Strike 3 called. 12 strikeouts on the day for Dylan Cease and 7 shutout innings.
No doubt about it here today. Dylan Cease, our player of the game. 7 shutout innings. He was absolutely terrific in this ball game here today. Excellent work from Dylan. Continues to be great. We've gone through a lot about Dylan Cease already. If you missed it, when we're done here, you can go back and rewind the video stream or go listen to the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. Want to quickly cycle through some of your video comments here. We've got a comment here. AJ did a great job to acquire Luis and Dylan. Luis and Dylan, fans need to give AJ Preller the credit he deserves. Look, I like the trade for Cease at the time. I really like the trade for Arise. I think he's a wonderful fit in this lineup. We kind of got into it in the last segment about why that is, and today a good example of that. Of why he's such a good fit, the way he kept that line moving in the 5th inning with the 2-out single. Look, we'll see how it all plays out, right? You have these two guys not just for this year, but until the end of next year as well. But yeah, look, I thought they were win-now type moves for a team that is still built, despite the reduction in payroll, despite trading Juan Soto, I believe, to win now. And if you can get to the postseason, make a lot of noise, potentially. So I really like the Arise trade. I like the Cease trade. And look, bottom line is this. Arise has been really good so far, albeit very small sample size, but he's done what he does, and that's get on base and get base hits. And to this point, the Cease trade, as far as the performance from Cease, the player the Padres got in Cease, well, to this point, he's been as advertised. He's been exactly who the Padres thought they were getting. And right now, I think AJ does deserve credit for that. I mean, you go get guys, you want them to perform. And to this point, in the Cease case, he has been a major win as far as the trade. Tyler commenting, Sammy, do you think guys struggling like Bogarts, Kim, even Yuki Matsui will figure out a way to get out of their slump? I do. Look, Yuki had been pretty good there for a while. Bit of a rough series for Yuki. It's been a slower start for Kim, no doubt. Kim was 1 for 4 today, did have a single and a stolen base, but has not played as well, obviously, as he did last year, at least through 40 games here. We'll see if he can pick it up. It's a big year for Ha-Sung. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but the production has not been what it was last year to this point. Look, with Bogarts today, Bogarts was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. The batting average on the year for Xander is down to .213. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised that it hasn't gone better so far here in year 2. I really felt like with Xander, and he has hit it a little better. I'd have to pull up the numbers again and tell you what it's been the last 8-9 games. It was going a little bit better. He had a little hit streak going for a while. But I'll be honest with you. I've been surprised that it hasn't gone better. I felt like this would be a real bounce back for him from the outset of the season on. And it just hasn't been that way so far through 40 games. He's played 38 of them so far. His batting average is .213. He's only got 8 extra base hits and 155 at bats. 269 on base percentage, 559 OPS. I've been surprised. I really, really felt based on, and he still could put together a great final 3 quarters of the season, right? You hope he does. But I thought based on the track record, it would be a little bit more of hitting the ground running and putting together a really nice year in his second year here in San Diego when, he's not dealing with the wrist issue. He's not dealing with a new team, new city, where we see guys sometimes struggle in the first year of a contract in a new league, new city, new team. To this point, the numbers have not been great. So look, it would be a very, very big deal and very, very big for the Padres if Xander can get it going. And obviously, you very much hope he gets it going because you brought him here to hit and to produce. And we'll see if Xander can rev it up here in the month of May and into the summer. You certainly hope so. All right, before we go to break here, let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues. Dodgers beating the Marlins 3-1 in L.A. earlier today. Teoscar Hernandez, a 2-run home run in that game. For L.A., Royals beat the Brewers 6-4 in Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. a home run for the Royals in that game. Guardians beat the Tigers 5-4 in 10 in Cleveland. Blue Jays over the Phillies 5-3 in Philadelphia. Earlier today, Angels beat the Pirates 5-4 in Pittsburgh. Joe Adele a home run in that game for the Angels. Games going on right now, just one. Game 1 of a doubleheader between the A's and the Rangers. A's leading 9-4 in the 9th inning. Game 2 of that doubleheader coming up later. Diamondbacks in Cincinnati against the Reds at 3:40. Orioles and the Nationals in D.C. at 3:45. White Sox and the Rays in Tampa Bay at 3:50. Astros and the Yankees at 4:05 in New York. Red Sox and the Braves in Atlanta at 4:20. Mariners and the Twins in Minnesota at 4:40. Giants and the Rockies in Colorado at 5:40. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday across the major leagues. When we come back, we'll hear our play of the game, wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow, and then right around the top of the hour, we'll have Chris Ello, Matt Scraby coming your way, today's edition of Gwynning Chris. Final score at Wrigley Field today, Padres 3, Cubs nothing. More after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Padres win it 3-0 against the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Again, we'll wrap things up here, get you ready for Friday against the Dodgers here in a second, and then hand things over to Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. They'll come your way shortly after the top of the hour. We'll hear our play of the game in just a moment as well. I do want to mention a couple of things, again, about that Dodgers series. Tickets still available for that Dodgers series, limited tickets. So if you want to show up to Petco Park over this weekend against the LA Dodgers, you can do that by going to Padres.com/tickets and go grab your tickets there. Come say hi to me at the Western Metal Building over the weekend. Our boss here, Adam Klug, also telling us that all three of our daily shows tomorrow, that's of course Ben and Woods, Annie and Elston, Gwen and Chris, they will all give away a pair of tickets tomorrow to this weekend series against the Dodgers. So listen tomorrow from 6 until 7 with Scraby, but 6 until 6 when each show will give away tickets to tomorrow's, or I should say tickets to this weekend series against the LA Dodgers. So be sure to be tuned in tomorrow for a chance to win those ticks. And if you don't win the tickets, then hop online, go to the box office, call, do whatever you got to do, and get your seats for this weekend against the Dodgers. Let's squeeze in one more phone call here before we head out. Let's go to North Park. It's Cornelius calling in. Cornelius, you're on the Padres Radio Network. How are you?
Doing great. Sammy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice Padres win, series win. Beautiful day here in San Diego, so I'm doing well.
Good to hear. My man, real quick, I am known around these parts as the commissioner of Padre positivity.
Okay.
So even when things get down, I stay up. And today was a great example of the team pulling it together, playing clean baseball, and Dylan, man, I'll tell you what, when his pitch count does increase, the Cubby bats will cease.
Well, Dylan did a really good job today against the Cubs, no doubt about it. What else you got?
I got to give props also to Suarez. Not only for doing his job today, I like to call him Bobby 1-2-3 when he comes in the ninth, but just that other day, Monday, coming in, getting the 5 outs. He's nasty, and he's dialing it up to triple digits. Let's go. This team's about to turn a corner, and hopefully we can do it in this upcoming series.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, Cornelius. I think, look, you get the feeling, and I said it earlier, and we'll see whether they're able to turn that corner or not. You got a tough weekend series coming up against the Dodgers, no doubt, but hey, you win that series, that's 4 series wins in a row. You win that series, and all of a sudden you're above 500. So again, at this point, I'd focus on winning series. But like I said earlier, have they been perfect? No, they're 20-20 through 40 games, right? It has not all been perfect, but I do feel like in the last 8 games, where the Padres are now 6-2, they have, I think, played as a whole about as good baseball as they've played this year. And it showed. 3 straight series wins against the Reds, then the Diamondbacks, and against a good Cubs team. So you hope it continues. It's a tough test this weekend against the Dodgers. Try to win the series. You can do that. You keep it rolling. And so we'll see if the Padres can do that moving forward. Let's tie a bow on today's win in Chicago. Let's hear our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
He went 6 1/3, did not allow a run. Manny lines this one into right center field. He's going to give up a run here. Arise is rounding third on his way. Machado an RBI single, and the Padres a 1-0 lead in the first.
Our play of the game here today, Manny Machado, the RBI single in the first inning, gave the Padres a 1-0 lead. That would be all the runs they would need in this ball game here today. They'd get 2 more in the 5th inning to make it 3-0. But hey, we didn't know it at the time. The 1 run would be enough. Padres win it 3-0. Manny picking up the 2-out RBI single. More 2-out RBI hitting in the 5th inning. 2-out RBI single from Tatis. A 2-out RBI double from Jake Cronenworth in the 5th inning. That made it 3-0. And the Padres go on to win by that final score. So what is coming up for the Padres? Well-deserved day off tomorrow, and then the start of a 3-game series against the Dodgers on Friday at Petco Park. Quickly, the pitching matchups throughout that series. Michael King on the mound on Friday against Tyler Glasnow. Matt Waldron on the mound against James Paxton on Saturday. Yu Darvish against Walker Buehler on Sunday. So first pitch on Friday, 6:40 p.m., Eco Water SoCal. Padres pregame show will begin from inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park with me at 5:40. Certainly hope you can join us then. And again, if you want to come out to the ballpark and you don't have your tickets yet, good news, limited tickets from what I've been told, still available. Go to Padres.com/tickets to pick up yours for this weekend series against the Dodgers. Taking a look at the final totals in this one here today. For the Padres, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left on 8. For the Cubs, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. They left on 3. Winning pitcher, Dylan Cease. He's now 5-2. Losing pitcher, Hayden Wesneski. He's now 2-1. Save goes to Robert Suarez, his 12th of the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 29 minutes. And the crowd at Wrigley Field on the north side of Chicago, 30,138. Once again, first pitch on Friday at 6:40. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, the Padres 3 and the Cubs 0. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, coming your way next on 97.3 The Fan. We'll talk to you on Friday on the Padres Radio Network.